So what happens when we're not successful in that? What happens when we have too much hemostasis? Well, we talk about arterial thrombosis and venous thrombosis, and I wanted to spend a couple of minutes now going through that to make sure that everyone's clear on the difference, because there are very important differences, and I think this is part of the confusion that there's been over the years, that we haven't really made a very good distinction between arterial and venous clots, and really it's a completely separate problem, and understanding that has been the key to more effective prevention and treatment strategies for both conditions, really. So arterial thrombosis we think of as strokes and heart attacks. So a blood clot that forms or finds its way into one of the blood vessels that supply the heart causes a heart attack. If that clot finds its way up into the brain, you have a stroke. And I think these are things that we're all very, very familiar with and have been for many years. Venous thrombosis, on the other hand, are clots that form either in the deep veins in the legs, or DVTs, and if, again, a piece of that breaks loose and travels to the lung, it's called a pulmonary embolus. So it's kind of similar to a stroke. It's just the lung that's the target, not the brain. And these two processes are really very separate. The things that lead to increased risk for arterial thrombosis and venous thrombosis are different. The types of clots are different. They look different under the microscope. Our treatments are totally different. Our preventative strategies are different as well. So it's important to keep these separate. Just to go over some statistics, and we've heard a lot of numbers already today, we have really good data on arterial thrombosis, partly because we've been paying attention to it for about 50 years. And so these numbers are pretty solid. When I show you some numbers for venous thrombosis on the next slide, they may look a little different than some of the numbers that we've been talking about, but I think the problem is we don't have very good data, and we've already heard that we need to get better data to have a better understanding of how big the problem really is. But just to kind of go through strokes and heart attacks to give you a feel for the magnitude of the problem here, if you look at strokes, there's probably 700,000 per year in the U.S. people having strokes. Heart attacks, it's over 1 million, 1.5 million people every year having heart attacks. The number of deaths is staggering. If you just do some math, and you can get statistics like this to kind of get people's attention, every 53 seconds someone in the U.S. has a stroke, and every 3 minutes someone dies of a stroke. That's pretty sobering. If you look at heart attacks, it's even more sobering. Every 20 seconds someone in this country has a heart attack, and every minute someone dies of a heart attack. So in the 40 minutes I'm blabbing to you, 40 people are going to die of heart attacks. So it's pretty sobering. If you look at the cost, it's just absolutely staggering. Billions and billions and billions of dollars is what it costs our country, our society, to take care of problems related to arterial thrombosis. When we look at venous thrombosis, the numbers aren't quite as big, but again, I think that part of the issue is here we don't have very good data. I don't mean to imply that venous thrombosis is more common, because I don't think it is, but the point is these numbers are also staggering and also very sobering, and they shouldn't be overlooked. So this is probably the highest estimate you'll see. We've heard numbers of 6, 8, 900,000. Some people estimate maybe even up to 2 million people in the U.S. every year have a venous thrombosis. The incidence varies significantly with age, so in younger people, people under the age of 40, about 1 in 10,000 per year. As people get older, the risk goes way, way up, and I'll show you a graph later on that kind of illustrates that. So 1 in 100 per year over age 75. So this is clearly a problem of aging, and this is one of the reasons this is going to be a bigger problem, because we're all getting older, hopefully anyway. The numbers of people in the hospital, again, these are numbers I think that are kind of good estimates, but we probably don't really truly pick up everything. Some people say 600,000 hospitalizations per year. I think that's a pretty good estimate, but it might be a bit conservative. The number of deaths, anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000 people dying of pulmonary embolisms per year. And again, as was already mentioned, this is a bigger number than the number of people that die of AIDS and breast cancer and car accidents all added together. So this is really a huge number. It's a smaller number than arterial clots, but the thing here is these are almost all preventable. And that's really where we can make the biggest impact. Another way of looking at this, if you want to look at what causes people to die in the hospital that could have been prevented, pulmonary embolism is top of the list. And if you want to get the attention of your hospital administrators, use the word preventable hospital death all in one sentence. It really gets their attention. And it should get our attention too. So this is an enormously big problem. The cost, again, in the billions. And I think this is a very conservative estimate, $1.5 to $2.5 billion per year to deal with this problem of venous thrombosis. So this is certainly something worth tackling.